Hey everyone, we're back at that pond where we unclogged 2 culvert pipes about 2 weeks ago. Yep, let's see what the beavers have done with the last 2 weeks. The area's looking good, pond's looking good. When we drained this back 2 weeks ago, you can see all the edges, but since then, everything's greened up, it's grown in. Here's culvert pipe number 1. This right here is the secondary culvert, meaning it won't flow unless the other one can't handle it or it gets plugged. So we're all set there. When we first started this, you can see the water lines. It was way up here. If it was as flooded as it was a few weeks ago, there'd probably be a little bit of water in this left tractor trailer track. And if we go over here, to my amazement, the beavers didn't plug it up, because when we did this before, well, you know, that right there is probably beavers. Man, I just looked at it from the road. This is the first time since I showed up that I'm actually looking at it on site, but we're doing extremely well. You see, there's not much water feeding the pond. It's draining really slowly, so it's going to take a long time for the beavers to get the water back up, because when we started before, it was about 4 inches above this pipe. So we at least 18 inches, maybe 2 feet of water loss. This looks like it probably was beavers. Yeah, this is 100% beaver activity. Just a tiny bit of stuff. What they put right here probably is making the water maybe 4 or 5 inches deeper, because that's all this has for potential. 4 or 5 inches. Hear that? Pouring out the other side. The other side actually may have a little beaver dam on the exit too, because their goal is to conserve as much water as possible. They're very beneficial to our forests, but sometimes we get in the beaver's way. So here's the end of the culvert pipe. Push my way through. Yes, it looks like there's a little bit of buildup on the other side. Yes, these guys built a beaver dam in the exiting end. Oh, this thing may gush for a moment once we get this blockage out of the way. There we go, we're starting to pick up a bit. See the beaver dam right in the end. Whoa, oh, that scared me. Those clumps of dried up slop that we saw on the other end. But there we go. Beaver dam's out. We're looking good. Exiting beaver dam's gone. I may have a little leak in the bottom of my boot. I didn't top them, but I'm feeling wet. Might need to use my plug kit. So yes, everything going on here is positive today. Beavers have barely built back, because the first time we came here to unclog this, the next day they built back a full-on dam in that primary flow culvert. But now after 2 weeks they didn't do anything. Barely anything. Because they're not going to put up a whole dam if they don't have the water to do so. Because what they do is they build a dam slightly above the water line. Let the pond build up. Build it a little higher, build up higher. But there's barely any flow feeding the pond. So that's why it's not becoming a major problem. If we got a bunch of rain, we'd probably come back to a really big beaver dam. Look at this. A lot of oily mess over here. That's all natural oil. Just stuff being released from the swamp. But this truck right here that took this turn pretty sharp, that tire probably would have sunk a lot deeper if this road hasn't had the past few weeks to dry out. Because when this was going on, 4 inches above that, it's above the road. Because look at this beaver dam right here. This is a pile of clump, probably from an excavator unclogging. But this stuff, the way this mud's packed all along here, it's a beaver dam. At one point, this swamp was slightly above the road, making it extremely wet. It was pouring out around here. That's why this road is a bit eroded. And it was coming back in over here. Good to see everything's in good shape. Check out this beaver pond. It's causing water to run over the road. Yes, it's good to see this in good shape. They have graded most of the roads in the area in the past 2 weeks. They're a lot more bumpy until a bunch of trucks flatten them down. They were very smooth 2 weeks ago, but they were also a lot more narrow. So that's why they had to go and stir everything up. Got to make the road wider so everyone can pass each other safely. Doing my 3-pointer here because it would have been unsafe to do so down around that sharp corner where the pond is. Now we're going to continue to another location that's about only 10 minutes away. I want to see how the beavers are doing there. I was amazed when we unclogged it that the beavers never showed up overnight to try to repair the damage. I even put a camera up. We didn't get anything, but this location to the left I just showed you, that actually made a pretty cool time lapse. I put a time lapse camera up hoping I could get the beavers building back, but instead I got thousands of migrating fish swimming upstream. And now we're on our way to another beaver swamp. I'll explain when we get there. Oh, this road is real horrible. They graded this, and I gotta be very careful if I have to pass someone. The shoulder here is so soft, not because it's muddy or wet, it's because it's all sand. And you can really sink into sand. Right here's pretty narrow. It looks like they stopped grading right after that sand. Alright, we're about to pull up to our next location. It's down this road, which they are not using anymore. This road won't be used again for another 2 decades or so, because they only log every 40 years and they got to give the forest a chance to recover before they can cut it down again. So this road is not prioritized at all. It doesn't really matter what happens to it unless you're out for recreation or hunting. Those are the only people who would probably be coming down here. So when I first came across this 2 weeks ago, right here where it's very rocky, this was all flooded. It was all flooded coming down here, and just seeing how it's not flooded now, I don't think the beavers did anything, which means they're probably already trapped by the local trapper. Where the culvert pipe is that these beavers have plugged. Now this is one location I would not give to the trapper, just because it doesn't really matter if the beavers are here or not, since this road isn't being used. But in the eyes of the companies that own these roads, of course they want the beavers gone, because they will let this road grow in, but it will remain graded and flat so they can easily get it open if they had to. Say the whole road's washed out, now that's another story. That takes a little bit more time. So of course if they know there's a beaver issue, they're gonna remove them. Yeah, this is the end of the road. You see, it used to break off in like 5 different directions, but all but one of the roads are impassable. And the one that is passable is gated. So come down here further. Right here they made a water bar, which gets the water off to the left to make sure it doesn't cause damage down here. So what a trapper usually would do is they trap the beaver, they bait them, then they move them to a location where they won't cause damage and where they will be beneficial. Because beavers are very beneficial for water storage. Without them, most areas would be so dry and dead. Yeah, last time we were here, there was probably 8 inches of water, 2 inches on that side. I was playing with a bunch of leeches hanging out. So here's where the culvert comes out. As you can see, it is still flowing, and it's flowing moderately, so that means they could refill this beaver pond in no time. Looking over on the other side. Yes, absolutely no efforts at all to... Yeah, because when I first removed this, this was gushing right here really heavily towards the culvert, which is right there by that pole. And when I left it, it was going in just like this, a little more violently with a whirlpool. Not any single attempt, not even a tiny little bit like in that first location. See, along the edges, we've lost probably a foot or 18 inches of water. None of these rocks were showing. That beaver lodge, you can see the gigantic bathtub ring around it. You can see that around every tree sticking out of the water. How much we lost? About 18 inches or so. Oh, look at that big log. It's pulling right in really slowly. So if nothing intervenes, there's mosquitoes all over me. They don't care about bug spray. If everything goes right and beavers don't jam this up before it draws back, this whole thing's gonna drop back about 18 inches now from that. This dam's even easier to pull apart than I originally thought. When we first started this, the water level was slightly above this road because they have a big dam here all along the side of the road. But beaver dams are not completely waterproof. They have leakage, which was leaking into the road, making it softer. And considering how there's like a good 4 to 6 foot drop along the edge here, eventually if this became waterlogged enough, it could push out. But it is very rocky. Despite there being so much water last time I drove through it, 0 sinkage, 0 traction loss. And right here, this rock right here, 2 weeks ago, we saw it was freshly pushed out of that hole. I think someone with a really low clearance had a really bad day. But there was no oil trail or anything, so I don't think it caused damage. I've hit many things out here, and I can say I've been very lucky. It could have ended bad. Because I have a dent in my oil pan. That could have been a lot worse, especially out here, these places with absolutely no signal. All right, we're about to head out. Our next location's about 90 minutes away. We'll show you that, do an update. How did this big rock get dislodged? Look at the scrape marks on this. All right, everybody. Right now we're at location 3. We've done a lot of uncloggings here. Whoa, it looks like good news. Did not expect to see that. I think our beaver friends have returned. I really do think so. We unclogged this about 2 weeks back. There was like barely anything in here. I assumed the beavers were gone because I did set up a trail camera in here for multiple days. Nothing ever came back to build. Right here we have a gigantic leech friend, if you can see that. See that under the water? Massive leech moving around. This pond has always had a lot of leeches. This is one I'm gonna have to put gloves on if I do anything. Now you see this little dam here. It's only holding up a literal inch or 2 of water. Nothing else inside. You can kind of see by the rust mark exactly where the dam was. See, it curves right with it and everything. Yeah, this dam that was in here was probably years in the making. We came here in the end of winter, maybe it was early spring, but regardless of what it was, there was a lot of snow around here. We removed this entire dam from the inside. There was enough water pressure to push the entire thing out. That was holding at least 2 feet of water. Now there's just a tiny bit of stuff here. We're gonna keep tabs on the area, but this looks like a beaver is here. Coming in here to check out the situation. Yeah, let's put the camera right here so we can see what's happening. Here it comes, here. It's starting to slide. We're gonna keep tabs. If we come back in a few weeks or a month and there's a dam there, we'll remove it and set up a trail camera to see and confirm that. Because this location here, park rangers told me there was a relocation of a bunch of beavers. Maybe they missed one, maybe a new one moved in, but I think we have a new beaver friend here. Wow, look at all the birch bark in the road, along with other things. Majority of it's not birch, but that's awesome if you need to start a fire. There's still a bunch of it. Wow, these machines really rip up the road as they're driving. It's starting to rain out. A lot more logs here. So this must be where they relocated those machines from. Between these 2 points, the road's pretty torn up from them just driving. And I finally realized why the bridges, the decks are always in such rough shape. All right, everybody, we're at our next location. It's getting pretty windy out. The pond is fully drawed back to its normal depth. And as you can see, the edge, it's got a beach now. This thing was over capacity for such a long time. It's gonna take a little while for this place to get used to it. It's only been about 2 weeks. But that grass on the edges will quickly spread and fill in that beach until the next beaver happens upon it. This area does not have beavers. If it did, this thing would have been plugged and fully filled back up. Nice little trickle. Go in there, you're too big. Ah. Oh, are you? Yeah, you're too big. Get on out of there. There it goes. It took the whole thing. It took it. Wow, I can't wait to see what that looked like on the other side. It took it in full. Wow. It started blasting. I can hear it so loud on the other side. Good to see everything's working nicely. Coming out the other side. Everything's flowing nice. Look at all those giant clumps of grass we sent through there just a few weeks ago. All right, everyone. This is going to be our final update of the day. Here was a culvert that we unclogged. We released about 1 foot of water. We could have released more, but there was idiot with excavator damage And it's nice. It looks like the road has dried out quite a bunch. The water was crossing down right here, creating a massive mud hole. But it looks like most of this mud is just dried up. We can drive right through it without any worry now of getting stuck. I'm gonna go ahead and loop around and I'll give you guys a look. Probably would tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to rain. There's this flooded area with a bunch of mud, causing everyone to have to come up here onto the shoulder to get around it. And eventually someone's gonna end up hitting these rocks. The road has definitely dried out very nicely. So here we are at the culvert pipe. As you can see, there's a few puddles. It's not trickling at all. When we unclogged this, it wasn't trickling at all. Not even across the road at that point. Meaning it had no supply. Meaning it basically only flows when there's a recent rainstorm or during the spring thaw. So right over here is where the entrance to the culvert is. Oh, never mind. Yeah, that's a 3-foot culvert that goes way over despite the damage. I'm gonna go look at the other side, see what's going on. See that? Right here, the culvert's crushed. That might be from the road, but as a result, the beaver dam goes beyond this crushed part another couple feet. The beaver dam total is probably 5 good feet. See that blockage up there? That crushed piece of pipe is helping the beavers so much. Whether a big truck did that, an excavator operator. Look at the ceiling. That's all spider egg sacs, spider nests. Yeah, I don't see any evidence that the beavers have done a thing. Beavers have not been back here. Or maybe they just haven't checked in the last 2 weeks. Unlikely, but possible. Right up the hill to the right is the beaver's main pond at higher elevation. And I think whatever leaks out of that pond comes down here. But that pond up there is pretty well filled. Alright, I hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.